Hi, welcome to Culture by the Uncultured. We are your hosts, DJ, Sam, and Taylor B. All right, on today's podcast, we just want to definitely give a special shout out to Sunny. She's our editor, just so you guys know. She's away temporarily, and she'll be back with us soon. Moving on from there, we got some albums that came out. I don't know if you guys heard them or not. But before we even get into that, what music have y'all been listening to?
Honestly, I've been listening to a lot of old music. I think the latest thing I've heard, I can't even remember. It was Iggy Azalea, Sally Walker.
Interesting.
It's like the latest, like the latest thing I heard on the radio here. I've gotten out of like going and searching for music.
I feel you.
For me personally, I've been listening to a whole bunch of things. Nothing really new. Album that actually just came out was Avicii's new album, which I'm a little bit into everything, so I listen to house music as well. And I mean, it's pretty good. I wanted to talk a little bit about posthumous albums, see what you guys thought about that. It's something that's a little different, but yeah, that's really what I've been listening to. Is just a little bit of Avicii and some classic hip hop, classic rock every now and then.
Yeah, I feel you.
That's definitely a good idea. Getting into the albums, some of the albums, just to name off a few: Zoo by Denzel Curry, Escape from New York by Beast Coast, which is like a combination of Joey Badass, Flatbush Zombies. I think some other guys from Pro Era, Powers Pleasant, Nick Caution, Underachievers. What else came out? T Grizzly came out with a new album. Future came out with a little EP called Save Me.
I have something to add to this album thing.
Go ahead.
I literally just saw earlier on Hip Hop DX when I was on YouTube.
What was that?
Did you see that DJ Khaled couldn't believe that his album is number 2 to Igor?
Yeah. He went on like a little rant too.
He was heated about that.
Yeah.
You know, saying that he makes music people to listen to that, you know, you can turn on your radio all the time and like hear his music.
And hear it. Yeah.
I don't think he understands that music is moving away from radio airplay.
Yeah. And you can't beat that cult following, man.
Yeah, you can't.
And it's also way more about streaming now and way more about that online music. And as much because I guarantee you every single time that I put on Pandora or Spotify and it's a random ass top playlist or even any sort of playlist at all, I'm gonna hear his music because that's just how it is. A lot more than I'm gonna hear Tyler, but I would search it up first.
I think he doesn't realize people have the underground. Like, you don't need to have music out on the radio airplay anymore.
Yeah.
To make your statement. People who like you are going to like you regardless. And it's kind of nice to see, you know, you don't have to just sell your soul, so to speak.
And people have like a preconceived notion about DJ Khaled too. Most people like he don't do nothing. All he does is get an album, throw his name on it, and then have a album list of features, you know, from the best artists that are out right now, and then just say DJ Khaled, we the best. Another one, Major Key, you know. So it's like people don't really care, and then you get that same formula. Make an album, get a bunch of features. Make an album, get a bunch of features. Make an album, get a bunch of features.
You have DJs like, you know, DJ Drama, or you have producers like Scott Storch, like all that. But they don't shout out on the track. You know when Scott's on the track because you hear the pianos playing.
Yeah.
You know, it's hot.
And he's actually producing it too, instead of just throwing his name on it.
Yeah. So DJ Khaled, he's like one of the DJs with the big head that like wants to put himself in. Do it, and it's like, well, your work is behind the scenes and the artists are the one we're listening to.
Yeah.
So if that Rihanna, Bryson Tiller, if that was just on a Rihanna track, guarantee you more people would listen to it if you didn't have to hear DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
Or Major Key, that throws everything off. Yeah. The whole vibe is ruined.
I think to go along with that, I ended up reading up on somewhere on I think it was on Genius or something, where they were talking about the fact that he's getting so much backlash over sampling Outcast.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about it before. We talked about it on the last podcast. If you haven't given it a listen, go ahead and check that one out before you come here. But a lot of people, and it's what I said, it's what I've been telling everyone so far, is the fact that I think it's starting to hit us a little bit more because it's our generation. It was different when we were listening to samples from back in the 70s or 80s.
The Isley Brothers samples, you know, something like that.
Now that it's hitting close to home, I think everyone's starting to get a little bit more like I'm not. I mean, in this day and age of being offended, I'm not going to say that people are getting offended, but it just seems like people are caring a lot more about the fact that people are doing things over, say, that Outcast track. It's just different.
Let's not just what I'm gonna just reiterate this. Don't forget that sample was like throw the beat on there. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Throw some scissor lyrics on over that beat. That's basically what it was. So that was just poorly done. There
Yeah,
was
it
no
wasn't
effort.
changed at all. Or like I said, Rihanna and Bryson Tiller sampling Maria Maria. One, you can't just sample Santana and just have a Santana song played throughout it.
Yeah.
We all know who that is. You know, we all know the lyrics to that song. So when I hear it play on the radio, I immediately break out with Maria Maria's lyrics. Then I hear Rihanna and it's like, oh, it's not that song.
Not that version.
You know, I remember playing some songs and my grandma's like, oh, this is the Ozzy Brothers, or oh, they sampled this artist or this artist and stuff like that. But those are songs that I weren't familiar with. And then my grandma goes back and say, yeah, they changed this about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. And, you know, millennials were very nostalgic.
Absolutely.
So when we hear something that reminds us of our childhood, we're just like, oh, I remember this. Why did they change it? I don't like it.
but yeah, that his whole like demeanor changed and his like personality was broken and all that, you know, instead of being all positive. That's probably like the most negative I think a lot of us have seen him in a while. I heard that he went up to his record label and was like, why am I not number one? Yada yada yada. And it's just like, bro, like let it go. And then but people were getting on him on his Instagram too. They were like, we the second best. We kind of blessed.
It's not in it for the art, he's in it for the money. That just lets you know.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know, sometimes money wins over, but when you have an artist that is doing things for the art, like Tyler did it just for the art of it, sounds better. While Chance became the first rapper, like independently, no label, without making sales to win a Grammy.
Yeah, super crazy.
Why? Because that album was all about the art of it.
Yeah.
It was him doing what he loved.
Still waiting on that second album, by the way.
Still waiting on the second album.
It's supposed to come in July.
Hopefully.
Ooh.
Supposedly. Well, he been saying it for a while, so I don't see why it wouldn't, but
I don't know.
Like I said, I'm waiting too.
That's what all I can see is if he goes for perfection.
All right, so that pretty much sums up the Tyler, Creator, and DJ Khaled list. We kind of went on a tangent with that one. But let's go back into the actual albums that come out recently. YG's For Real, Future Save Me, Denzel Curry, Zoo, Beast Coast, Escape from New York. I know T Grizzly had an album come out. I didn't listen to that yet. I don't think you guys have listened to that either. Have you guys listened to Zoo?
I have not.
Okay.
Yet.
So towards the beginning of this year, I kind of started diving into Denzel Curry a little bit more and pretty much found out that he's like, he has a brain compared to a lot of the other artists in his like his age range.
Are you just figuring that out?
Well, I mean, I guess I kind of already knew, but like I've never really been like I listen to different versions. I'm gonna just call them Lils because it's like a lot of them are named Lils, but I listen to different Lils for different things. Like Playboy Cardi, I listen to him for like strictly for the hype. He ain't saying shit. He never said nothing cool. He has like one or two lines that I was like, oh, that was nice, or that was like some kind of deep, a little bit deeper than I thought you were capable of, but real simplistic shit though, you know. So for him, it's strictly for the hype. XXXTentacion, he gets me in my feelings, kind of gives me like that sad boy vibe, you know. He can be a little bit hype too. I don't know. There's a ton of them, obviously, right? But Denzel Curry, I listened to him a couple of times and I like some of his songs, but then like I started going back to his like older albums like Imperial. I listened to Taboo and, you know, obviously figured out, man, this guy, he's really talking about some stuff. He ain't really just, you know, just rapping a rap, you know? And when Zoo came out, it's interesting because Zoo to me is not necessarily the most like, it's not like a heightened mindset or anything like that. It's, it reminds me of like, you can throw this out at like a hood day barbecue or something, you know, like it's going to like the crowd, like the people are going to feel it, you know, it's not like super, like it's not super downy. It's not, too hype. It's like just right. And it's like a good vibe for like a good like outing, you know what I mean? Like, but like outdoors, you know, like a cookout or a barbecue or something like that, you know, you chilling with the homies, posted up somewhere, you know, bumping some Denzel Curry, you know, like that's what the vibes kind of gave me from that album. He had a song on there with Rick Ross. I forget what it's called, but that song was dope as fuck. It was hard as hell. Of course, Ricky came out a couple weeks ago. That's a great song too. But you know, it's like it reminds me of like a hood day cookout or something personally, you know, or maybe like I don't know, like you're, you know, just like a family event even, you know, it'd be dope. Any of you guys listen to Beast Coast album?
No, honestly, I'm not lying. I
Well, I know you
have
said you
not.
haven't really
Yeah,
listened to new music.
nothing.
What about you, DJ?
Nothing comes to mind when you say that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I've heard a song or two by them, but I mean, I didn't go out and specifically try to
Yeah, for
listen to
sure.
that.
Well, Beast Coast album, it's kind of hard for me to kind of like judge it really because understanding that it comes from a lot of artists. And while some of the things that they talk about are similar, they've collaborated a lot together. They've got, similar vibes a lot of the times. To me, it's like too many hands in the pot. It was like, and this is actually a good way to kind of compare it to the DJ Khaled album, right? So DJ Khaled has all these features, and I said last week I think it's something about like it's similar to like a Denny's sampler platter, right? So for the Beast Coast album, I would say there's too many hands in the pot, but for me, that album was better than the DJ Khaled album. Everybody kind of just like it's none of their greatest works. Like I would never say it's like grade A Joey Badass, grade A Underachievers, grade A Flatbush Zombies, anything like that. But like they complement each other very well. So it's not a hard listen or nothing. Like it's not harsh. You're not like, oh, that was like a bad transition or it was terrible for them to cut right there at like this bar and then, it goes right into somebody else or something like that. It all kind of worked pretty well together for the most part. It's not something that like I can really see myself like trying to listen to it a bunch of times. The tracks are pretty decent lengths. They didn't go with nothing like crazy short. Like, some people will be going like the minute long tracks or nothing. And it would be kind of hard to with all the people that are featured on this album. So in that regard, I just want to give them props for making an album with all these people, on the album alone, regardless of the other features or not. They had like at least like 8 people that I can think of, for make an album, besides other producers, other artists that are on the album, or whatever. So good job to them in that regard, in the collaborative effort. But, I personally would love to hear all these guys individually. I mean, Joey Badass hasn't dropped his own album since 2016 or 2017. Badass America or whatever, so American Badass, I think. So, I would like to hear his solo project. I know Flatbush Zombies dropped last year, so I'm not really too worried about them. Underachievers, they drop projects all the time, so I'm not really worried about them either. Moving on from there, YG's For Real For Real. You listen to that, right, DJ?
Yeah, I got to listen to YG a little bit. I'm not huge into him, but obviously his main single's been on the radio like every day. So I mean, there's almost no chance to miss it.
Especially when you're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Me personally, for the YG album, I listen to every YG album at least like a couple times. Try to give it, figure out what my vibes are. I know like his last album, Still Dangerous, I think that's what it was. A lot of people didn't really like it, but I had, some favorite songs on there that I thought were good, like one or two. This album, kind of like the same thing. Just kind of pick my favorite songs, add them to my playlist, and kind of continue on from there. YG has never really stuck out to me as like he's that artist. He has like a couple times he says in there though that he's like the face of the West Coast, which makes sense because like he's the youthful face, I guess, because like the game's old now. Like he's in his like late 30s, if not in his 40s already. Who else can we? TDE, of course, but I mean like they're just kind of like superstars though. I don't really think necessarily like I guess when I say West Coast, I'm thinking more like banging. Like I'm not really thinking about that when it comes to like Schoolboy Q, Kendrick Lamar. I guess J Rock kind of, but I haven't really. I feel like he don't really just talk about that kind of stuff though. He really talks about like some deep meaning stuff. Not that YG doesn't, but like his is more like to me, it's kind of like you trying to get smacked in your mouth, nigga, kind of music, or are you trying to like vibe and chill,
Yeah.
And he's a West Coast gangster rapper, and he's cool. I like the song. To me, the first track,
It's like Socks and some shit.
Hard bottoms and white socks. Yeah, that was probably my favorite song. The first song was my favorite song on that whole album. Go Loco obviously was the
big hit.
Yeah, on the radio. Him featuring Tyga. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Not really a huge fan of that song personally. But the album was all right. It wasn't nothing super crazy or special to me. I'll probably give it a couple more listens. And then we also have Future's Save Me. I'm gonna just be honest right now. I'm not a Future fan, so don't take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, really. Just because I'm gonna keep it real. I haven't liked Future since the Pluto days, and before that, even like when he was making mixtapes in like 2011, 2012, or whatever, was not fucking with Future for a very long time. I thought he sounded silly. I was like, "There's no way he's ever gonna blow up. This is impossible. Like this is ridiculous sound. There's no way." I had the very similar view that I had on him with Migos. He obviously blew up, and I was fucking wrong. So I'm gonna shut the fuck up about that. But this album or EP, I guess, it's not doesn't impress me still. I don't necessarily go out of my way to listen to Future albums. I more so did so to kind of talk about it a little bit. The opening track was like he has like this crazy distortion with like the fucking he already modifies his voice clearly, but he has like this crazy distortion with it. I didn't really like the beat of the song. I think my favorite songs on there were Government Something. I didn't add none of the songs to my playlist personally because I'm not a Future fan. But it kind of seems like now he's banking off like since it's called Save Me, he's banking off like the whole like drug thing and stuff. Even though he already admitted that he's not off on drugs anymore. I don't know if this is like he's back on drugs, if he's trying to say like, you know, now that he's sober, you know, his like everything is like hurting him now, like he has to feel everything now, so now he's being hurt and stuff, you know. I know he's been through this mess with Sierra and Russell Wilson, you know, like Russell Wilson's a great guy and Sierra seems like him and Sierra seem like they're great together, but clearly that probably has had some toll on Future. I know he's talked about her, you know, like not he's talked about like not meeting him before like Future Junior met him and all this stuff. And I know there was that big deal on Instagram that like Russell Wilson posted something about him, and I know Future posted something about they both posted something about Future Junior, and Future's was like a fucking Rolex for like I think he's like 5. He gave the kid a Rolex. That kid don't care about no damn Rolex. And Russell Wilson wrote this like long, heartfelt like post on Instagram about like, you know, like you're one of the greatest gifts that I ever got in my life. Like, you know, like I'm always going to be here for you, you know, so like some real father shit, you know, and I think like it's definitely, there's definitely the ability for that to be hurting him because he's like seeing this and maybe potentially feeling like he's failing or like, you know, like I'm losing my family or something like that, you know, but I mean, I don't know, you know, we got to let that man go through whatever he's going through. And then he's just going to make music for people to dance to and talk about, you know, he's trying to fucking overdose or something. But like I said, it wasn't that great. I don't know if you guys heard that. DJ, did you hear that?
Yeah. So I gave that EP a listen just because when I went underway on this last deployment that I was on, Wizard came out along with some other big albums came out during that time, and I tried to really download a whole bunch of them just to give them a listen. So I listened to Wizard, and I mean, I didn't like it, but it was okay. It was enough to get me through, you know.
Yeah.
And so when I heard this EP dropped, it was like, all right, cool. I mean, I'll give it a chance. I'm not down to just write it off here because I also am not a huge Future fan.
Yeah.
But like you said with that with him struggling now that he said that he's not on drugs and he's changed the way that he is and he tries to rap about it a little bit more. It kind of reminds me of Cudi. You remember when Cudi came out and he was all about, oh yeah, I'm fucking always on drugs and I'm always high, and he made music and people like, don't get me wrong, he made music, some really good music for some of the pothead community and for some of the people that really liked listening to that sort of stuff. I think the same sort of thing is kind of happening to Future. He came out with all these songs that were, granted, really, really good. A lot of good songs come to mind when you think about old Future.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of now he's falling off. And it could be because of his personal things that are going on in life. But I don't know. I feel like I'm seeing the same thing happen to him as we saw happen to Cudi. Because when you go to a concert and Cudi happens to be there, you hear all of his old shit. When I feel like whenever I go to a club or whenever I hear any sort of Future song, I'm hearing a lot of his older shit. Like you're hearing Jumpman and stuff like that. It just changes the way that I think about it, for real.
Oh, for sure. Quick side note, when I saw Kid Cudi and Kanye West perform at Flogna last year, Kanye West had all this energy, right? We seen like them fucking doing that dance and everybody's making fun of it or whatever, you know? He was clearly feeling himself. Kid Cudi, to me though, his facial expression scared the fuck out of me because it really looked like a soulless smile. It was really scary to me. I still enjoyed the set, but like I remember every time I saw his face, I just remember thinking like, man, this guy it looks like there's a puppet up there that's just kind of like, I don't know if it was because he was scared because they were in that glass box or whatever, you know, and like Kanye West going crazy in there and you're like, nigga, like trying to let this shit be still. Why you moving so much? Chill out, bro. And he's got to put on a show though. But that I just want to point that out. That shit really scared the fuck out of me. It looked like he had a soulless smile. I was really creeped out by it. But that's neither here nor there though. So I guess that kind of wraps up the. Oh, I know none of us listen to this. Anybody listen to Tyga's new album?
To Tyga's new album?
Yeah.
Who?
I mean, I'm not gonna say no because I didn't hear the whole album, but I kind of heard bits and pieces.
So I just want to point out something, and a lot of artists have been doing this, and I think honestly this shouldn't count. Like you should not be able to put out this kind of project, or it should be a time limit or whatever, right? So Tyga's album just came out. I believe the song "Taste" came out last year, right? Am I wrong? Or it came out way earlier this year?
It came out in 2018. I don't remember when. It was probably like mid to late 2018, but it came out last year.
Okay, so that song is on his new album. Overnight, his album went gold, but I'm gonna throw out that it's definitely due to taste because in less than 24 hours, his album went gold. I know Tyga is not that popular. I'm not saying he's like the least popular artist in the world. He definitely hasn't fallen off the face of the world. People thought he was falling off, and then he had a couple hits, and people were like, "Oh shit, he's back" or something, or like don't call it a comeback and all that jazz, But I don't think that I think there should be a time limit when introducing music to whatever platforms for like how long like a song could have been on like on streaming platforms or whatever, like a month or something, like you could put out a single a month before your album. After that, it can't be included in the numbers because that's definitely cheating the system. I also don't think that, people with 1 billion streams should only have like 100,000 units. I think that's crazy. That like the equivalent, the math there is way off. But like there's certain things that like don't add up, and they need to really fix up the numbers game when it comes to music in general. The last thing I wanted to bring up about music is and it's just kind of a top, like this could be just personal to me because I know a lot of people do try to like go out of their way and listen to new music, but I'm somebody who like I listen to like the same artist. I hear a big name come out, try to listen to them. Throw my favorite songs in the playlist, play my playlist because I like these songs or whatever. Have different playlists for different moods even too. Damo Genesis, he's a part of Odd Future. He's a talented rapper. In my opinion, I like him. He's dope. But he's not like one of like the people I think of right away when it comes to like supporting his music necessarily, And I know a couple months ago he dropped a EP called Facade Records EP, and I didn't even bother giving it a listen. I was like, whatever, he's not a huge name. He's not Tyler, he's not Earl or something, so I'm not really worried about it. I'll give it a listen when I feel like it or whatever, right? So a lot of albums that have come out have not necessarily been impressing me. But for whatever reason, yesterday I decided to go ahead and give him a listen. Threw it on there. The first track I think I listened to was called Consecutive Normal Punches, which is like a homage to fucking One Punch Man, which I thought was pretty dope. But the whole EP was good. Had a great features. The lyrical content was dope. It wasn't like just some stupid hype music. It was like these were like good songs, and I was like, this shit was slept the fuck on. Like for real, nobody talked about it. I don't think I heard any reviews from anybody, but it was like, it's a great album. I definitely recommend anybody who's listening to this right now, go ahead and listen to Facade Records EP by Damo Genesis. It's a great album, or it's a great EP. Go ahead and give it a couple listens if you feel like it. Pick your favorite records out, throw them in your playlist, whatever you feel like doing. But just want to kind of give a shout out to that, and also just kind of say like, venture out of like your comfort zone when it comes to listening to music. Give everything a chance. Go on those like top 100, top 20, top 10 playlists or whatever for whatever genre. Give artists that like maybe you kind of mess with, but you're not really like following like that. Make sure you go out and check their projects. Because if they got something out and you haven't heard about it yet, like they need all the support they can get so they can get to the point where everybody's supporting them. So make sure y'all do that. Bringing up Damo Genesis, totally forgot about Casey Veggies. This is the last album that I remember coming out. He came out with an album, Organic. It's pretty cool. Personally, I don't think it's better than Live, Love, and Grow or something like that. And I don't think it's better than Sleeping in Class. Or Live, Love, Grow is probably my favorite album by Casey Veggies. Sleeping in Class, my second favorite. And Organic is cool. It's not a bad album. It's just something that like, it's super just mellow. There's nothing hype on it, nothing that like I'm really trying to bump on there. Lyrical content is always great from Casey Veggies. He's never no slouch when it comes to that. It's got some good features on there. I got The Game. It's got a couple more West Coast heads on there. So, definitely shout out to Casey Veggies. I'm glad you got new music out.
When he has E40 on there, he's really trying to bring back some old school shit.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so it's a good album overall. And I'll probably give it a couple more listens. To just kind of flesh out what maybe I really like on the album. I know his or the first track, Dreams, a dope track. I know that one with E40. I think he has like a bunch of Bay Area artists on there. Actually, that one's kind of a little bit more hype or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But overall, like I said, it's a good album. I'll give it a couple more listens. Anybody out there who likes Casey Veggies, go ahead and give it a listen. It's a dope album. Moving on from there, a couple movies came out. Quite a bit of movies have come out, actually. I haven't seen all of them. I don't think you guys have seen all of them, but we've seen a couple of them, right? John Wick 3, Keanu Reeves, basically the Matrix part, 7 or something. For John Wick 3, I don't think you've seen this, right, Sam?
I have not seen any new movies at all.
So I don't want to throw out a bunch of spoilers because Sam hasn't seen the movie. I'm gonna just kind of give my opinion on the movie as a whole, and then I guess DJ, you can do the same thing. John Wick series is obviously extremely violent. They kind of just up the ante every movie, which is welcome to me. Like I like action flicks. I want to see some action, and if you can make them better and better, I don't mind that either. To me personally, in order of movies, I say John Wick 2 was the best movie. John Wick 1, second best. John Wick 3, the worst one out of the bunch. That is not to say that John Wick 3 is a bad movie at all, though. I think these are all great action films. I just think that John Wick 3 wasn't better than John Wick 2 or 1 to me. There were some really cool moments in there that I was like, oh shit, they did that? Like, there was some really cool stuff. Some pretty creative stuff too. John Wick gets a lot of creative kills. Pretty much the premise of the story following from John Wick 2 is he's excommunicado. Everybody's after him. Everybody needs to kill him. And a lot of people are introduced. The Elder, the High Table, all that stuff is introduced. So you kind of see, you're kind of seeing the inner workings of how like this underground association works. Understanding what certain things represent, like with the coins, favors that are owed and people that are indebted, things like that. So it's really good at that. Halle Berry was in the movie, of course. Some people really liked her performance. Me, meh. I don't think it needed her personally. I don't think she did the movie like
much justice.
Yeah, I don't want to say not justice, but I don't think she really did like the movie any favors. Like adding her in the movie wasn't like, oh shit, I'm so glad Halle Berry's in this movie. It didn't do nothing for me. The scenes with her in it, honestly, the fight scene with her and John versus the people with all the dogs, or whatever, it was in the trailer. It was like a long trailer. That's what it wasn't super dope. It was like, to me, mad repetitive. It would be like Halle Berry kills somebody. Somebody's kind of like doing something to her now. And then the dogs come. And then like John Wick, obviously pants to John Wick. He just killing the fuck out of people. Goes back to Halle Berry. She kills a couple guys. Something happens. Oh, like shit, the dogs come in, to bite somebody in the ass or something, like whatever it is. The coolest thing I think I seen her do was like, she got one of the Belgian Malinois and fucking, she like had to hop on her back up to a guy that was like on like a little like a roof or whatever, and then he like kills a guy or whatever. And I was like, oh, that was kind of cool, but it wasn't super impressive to me personally.
I think they tried to hype it up because I remember seeing, especially in the weeks coming up to John Wick 3, I remember seeing Halle Berry in that trailer, and then at the same time, I remember they came up with like the little behind the scenes of her working with the firearms and clearing and doing all that sort of shit. And I think they tried to hype it up by adding another star-studded person to the movie list. If you get what I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Don't get me wrong. Keanu Reeves could 100% carry the John Wick series, but I think they wanted to add someone else. Kind of like how they did when in John Wick 2 with old girl, that fucking Orange is the New Black chick.
Oh, I was going to say Common.
Oh, no, I was going to say the Orange is the New Black chick. But anyway, yeah. I mean, for this John Wick, I mean, the way that I feel about it, I mean, it's a good movie. I'd watch it again, but I think John Wick has redefined action as we see it today than what it was in the past. Because we have all these old, like we have the James Bonds and the Mission Impossibles and all these other high profile, heavy action.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, Steven Seagal kind of flicks. I think that John Wick kind of changed. It changes the formula without being too extreme.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people have kind of credited it with like their training regimen. It allows for one consecutive take, so you're not like making all kinds of cuts and like, which is like, it's funny because it's like for experienced viewers or like people who really care about that kind of thing, like angles and things like that, like, oh, like why is it over here, oh, that's not him, stuff like that. The mass majority of people don't give a fuck about that stuff, if you ask me.
Yeah,
the people just care about a good story, They care about a happy ending, and they care about, like some action that's going on in the movie. But like that kind of thing, I feel like is more for like critics and like movie reviewers, and just people in general who like are really into movies and like like go a little bit deeper than the surface. Talking about directors, maybe they know some knowledge about the cameras. They're worried about film budget, things like that. People who do a little bit more research. But for this movie in general, I think that Keanu Reeves does a great job. Like he doesn't have the craziest amount of lines in there. The action sequences are always great. The wardrobe is dope. His suits are nice as fuck. And then the storyline overall is great. Like you see a lot of things, and you get an understanding, and it's like it's great world building. And I think that's what is going to like give John Wick the longevity that it already has. Even they've already confirmed that they're John Wick 4 is coming. People like this movie; they want to see more of it, and I think the world building aspect of it is what is doing it. Because like John Wick 1, it could have been over. John Wick 2, you could end it right there. John Wick 3. After John Wick 3, you can't end it right there. John Wick 3 to me is the only movie that you can't just end it. Because John Wick 2, you could just like assume he's dead because he's excommunicado. John Wick 1, he finishes the stuff. He gets, or, he finishes whatever, kills the last guy, and then, gets a new dog or whatever, right? And then, like, of course, John Wick 2 in the beginning, he gets, like, his car back and all that stuff. Cool, whatever, right? But, like I said, again, John Wick 3, you can't end the movie franchise right there. We need a movie coming right after this, for sure. But as long as they continue to world build and kind of talk about things, and I really kind of hope they just, there's one specific thing, I'm going to just say spoiler alert real quick. The guy, I forget, I don't know the fucking guy's name, but I know he's a hell of an actor. I know he plays Odin inside American Gods. He tells the lady that's like there representing the high table or whatever, he's like, "Oh, do you think you can operate under the table and all this stuff?" And he was like, he basically tells her, we're New York," and which makes sense because all these organizations that like work for this organization, and they still helped John Wick regardless, or they talked to him. These people didn't try to kill him, and they had every right to be able to kill him. But they still fucked with him. So I would really love to see, not only now we have the high table and the elder and all that stuff, super hard to find the elder. He controls the fucking very top, of course. The high table has multiple fucking people sitting at the table. So there's a lot of heads right there. So now at this point, like I would love to see like all these organizations come together, build up, and fucking, go against high table and go against the hierarchy that's there, because you're already kind of seeing like people who work at the hotel are like fucking lowest levels. Let's just call them privates, right? And then people who manage the hotels are like a sergeant or whatever, right? They're the team leaders and all that stuff. Then you got the people who are at the high table, and those would be like your fucking your senior NCOs or whatever, like fucking E7s and all that, or whatever, right? And then of course you got your fucking whoever, the fucking sergeant major at the top, whatever, that would be the elder, right? So I would love to see how they continue to world build and develop the movie even more. Of course, also bring on more action scenes. Enough about John Wick 3. Godzilla, King of the Monsters came out. You guys seen that? I know, Sam, you haven't. DJ, did you see that though?
I saw snippets. My wife told me about it. She loved the movie. She absolutely loved it.
Oh yeah, it was dope as fuck. It was fucking awesome. Do you guys plan on seeing it anytime soon? Because I would kind of like to talk a little bit more about that movie
No,
specifically.
I'm gonna wait for Sunny to come back before I actually see it.
Are you gonna plan on watching it again, or like watch the whole movie, DJ? Or did she like tell you the whole thing?
She told me most of it, so I'm probably gonna wait till it comes out, to be honest. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I just want to say with Godzilla King of the Monsters, one thing that I very much liked is there was like traditions, and there was like some kind of like twist that I didn't think were going to happen personally. A lot of things people called since the beginning, and I was like expecting certain things, but certain things, I'm gonna just throw this out there. Spoiler warning, just in case anybody doesn't want to be spoiled. Stop listening for a couple seconds. I did not think so. In the original King of Monsters, I believe it was Ghidorah comes, and then like Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan fight against Ghidorah. They get fucked up by him. They jumped him for real. This was not the same story. It definitely was not. There's a way more monsters. Not that they all have to fight or whatever, but there was way more monsters, and Mothra and Godzilla were the only two to resist Ghidorah's call as an alpha. And for whatever reason, well, Rodan and him fight briefly, and then he works for Rodan after that, pretty much. Or Rodan works for Ghidorah right after that, for the most part. So that was kind of like a twist. So it was more like a 2-on-2 versus a 3-on-1. Even the size. I mean, even with the size of Ghidorah, which is very interesting, that in my opinion, it seemed like Godzilla had him low key 1-on-1. in the beginning at least. It's human fucking intervention fucks that all up, but whatever.
I'm just gonna say, me and Sunny haven't watched this, and you're just giving us like major fights. So I'm going to say, how about we skip that through, because Sunny's gonna listen to it and be like, "What the fuck,"
All right, fine. We'll just pick up from here then. There's lots of twists and turns. Like I said, it was a great movie. Didn't see some things coming that came, and I thought it was really dope. Really wish that I wish personally that there was more of a struggle. The human characters, once again, I don't think that they're necessary personally. Millie Bobby Brown didn't do the movie any favors. The dude from Friday Night Lights, and he's been in a bunch of other movies. I don't think he necessarily did it any favors either. The one thing about the human characters that I did like though was just like it made sense that they were involved. Unlike the first movie where it was like you just have like was it Aaron Taylor Johnson or whatever his name is, the guy that played Quicksilver? He was with the unit. He was I think he was in the army, and then he teamed up with like a Navy unit, and they went to like put a bomb to try to kill the Mutos and all that stuff. And it was like, okay, like you're kind of watching, there wasn't so much monster stuff, but it's like they're not really connected that well because you're just trying to do this specifically for the Mutos or whatever. And you're going sent out there, whatever. And like, but this one, like they're trying to intervene the whole time. So like it makes more sense, the human interaction or the human element in it. And of course there was way more monster action in the first movie, which I heavily enjoyed. The overall movie was great. I definitely want to go see it again. It was really good. Unfortunately, I don't think any of us have seen Ma or Dark Phoenix.
Nope.
Ma, I'm sure you guys know, is the fucking crazy old lady. She's black. She starts killing a bunch of like kids for whatever reason. I have no real intentions on going to see that movie personally. Didn't really look that great. I don't know. Just the storyline of it seems weird. I got spoiled, and somebody let me know like kind of the reasoning behind it all, and I was like, this is a bit much. This is a reach, but whatever. Tavia Spencer's in it. If you feel like watching it, by all means, go ahead and watch it. I'm probably gonna give that a pass though. Dark Phoenix, that's another movie that I'm not really too eager to go see either. I want to see it just so I can see what's gonna happen. I don't want to just say it's gonna be a travesty, but social media is a fucking monster, and most people are giving it the thumbs down. Some people are saying they enjoyed the film, sure, whatever, but I'm sure that's kind of like more casual moviegoers. There's certain elements that I've been kind of privy to about the film, even with like non-spoiler reviews, that I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a shit show.
I think at this point, though, like you kind of, for me especially, I mean, I'm not huge into comics as much as other people are, but I do follow X-Men, I do follow Marvel and DC, and I'm interested. I'm interested to see what plays out, especially since I've seen every X-Men from the first to now. It's kind of like I'm at that idea where now I kind of owe it to watch to see what happens.
Yeah, man, that's basically the reason why I see it too. I don't ever expect them to like follow the comics tit for tat or anything like that. I know mostly even the Marvel movies, they're pretty much just loosely based on comics. They pretty much just take like some of the best comic book moments and then some of the best storylines and kind of just try to mash them together and make a good movie. It would be impossible for them to make something that's exactly like the comics. Even if they did, one movie would be like 3 hours plus long, and still miss some stuff.
Yeah.
But with the Phoenix, obviously, this is the second attempt at doing that. I feel like you kind of have a blueprint of how not to fuck up the movie. And if I go in there seeing like a bunch of stuff that I don't want to see, which is like for example, for the first movie, the first Dark Phoenix story that they had, Scott Summers dying in the first 15 minutes of the movie, I was like, nigga, what? Like, come on.
You gotta like Sunny had posted on Facebook. You gotta understand, like, there are formats for like blockbuster films. There are formats for like Oscar-worthy films.
Yeah.
And if you don't fit that format, it doesn't matter how upset that core fan base is. No one's gonna pay attention to your movie. And like Sunny said, writers and producers, directors are pushed to follow the format.
Yeah.
So in the end, if it's not in the format, no one's going to pick it up.
Yeah.
So who is it on? Is it on the writer or on the industry itself for not accepting a writer's vision or a director's vision other than this does not fit,
Well, I'd probably say I would say definitely it's more on the industry personally. Because obviously they're the final say so. They fucked with a lot of things in cinematic history. Dragon Ball Evolution, That's just the worst one I can think of. But plenty of other fucking Death Note, pretty much any anime adaptation you can think of. First and foremost, a lot of the older superhero movies weren't great either. The Daredevil, old school Batman movies, most of that stuff was just I'm a kid and I'm watching this, so I like it. But trying to watch that shit today, cringeworthy as hell. With that being said, I think a little fault goes on the writer because that's something I feel like you should try to fight for. And if you can't get it and your vision cannot come to fruition, especially when you have like source material to kind of base things off of, then I feel like at that point, then it's kind of like it's kind of like your call to be like, I can't do this, get somebody else, or you try to fight for your product.
How are you going to make money?
Go to another movie.
How are you going to get the funds? How are you going to get funds?
It would just be go to another movie. You just be like, if you can't.
If you are a drama, you write drama pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
The main goal of everybody is to get their art out there. Oscars, Grammys, whatnot. It's the same thing for music. All music follows the same formula, whether you believe it or not. That's why they have the chords theory.
Yeah.
So if you are a writer and you're telling me, the studio, that you're not going to do it because it doesn't fit your artistic vision and you're just going to find someone else to give you the money, then I'm going to call my friends, other studio execs, to be like, hey, yo, this guy just told me to fuck off to my face.
I'm not saying to get money from somewhere else. I'm saying to withdraw yourself from the movies because people do that all the time.
Okay, and
there's
then
creative differences.
Who are you going to work for then, outside of your own indie?
It just depends on if you can't bring your vision to life or even close to that. If it's like an abomination after that point, then what choice do you have? But if you care about your craft like that, you're going to choose to withdraw. You're going to go somewhere else. You're going to attempt to work with somebody else who can better understand your creativity or whatever you're trying to make. I don't know who. I'm not a writer to that degree, so I can't speak on that personally. But I do know that people will not, like, films lose directors, films lose writers, films lose all that stuff all the time because they're just like, you guys aren't working with me. This is not what I wanted at all. This just isn't good. Yeah. So you find somebody else to do this. I can't do this.
Those are already established directors and established writers, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying for a beginner. For a beginner, it would be way harder to do that because you ain't got no money. You're probably in a brand new city and you're trying to get your foot off the ground. In that case, yeah, you're not really going to have much of a choice unless you feel that fucking strongly about making a film.
But let's just say even established directors and established writers, some will never find jobs in movie industries again. Why do you think that is?
Well, because it's basically a fraternity. So like all the big wigs are gonna fucking be like, you're definitely right about big wigs trying to call other people and be like, oh, like don't fuck with him or something. But I mean, that's also not to say that you may not know somebody a little bit better than another big wig, or so you may not have a connection to be like, well, if y'all not fucking with me over here, I know these people are gonna fuck with me, so I'm gonna go back over here. I was trying to branch out and do y'all a favor or something.
So if I have a proven formula to work, right? There's this formula for this movie that works 99 out of 100 times. And you come to me and you tell me I want to change something in that formula. What's going to convince me that it's going to be that 1 out of 100 times that it actually works outside of the formula?
Really, aside from it, I can't think of anything that is going to do that unless you come with like a great fucking elevator speech. You're going to need to be short, concise, and sweet. Explain your reasoning and so make it so people can understand this is why this is going to work. Because if it's a long-winded speech, you're gonna lose the fucking audience. You're gonna lose. They're not gonna give a damn about what you're saying. They're in the back of their minds in the beginning of this talk or whatever. They're already thinking he's wrong. He's wrong. I know this works. I'm not losing no money for this. He's wrong. I'm not losing no money for this. So unless you can make your point short, sweet, and concise, you're not gonna win them over by just talking to them.
So why would I change anything then?
I mean, you don't have to, but then you'll see. I guess the only thing I could really say is you have let's say you have your numbers, right? All you can really say is give your thoughts on the after effects of it. Like if you go through with this as a writer and you're just like, fuck it, whatever, like I'm just gonna listen to y'all and we're gonna be done, then fine. That's the end of that, really. This movie failed. I told y'all we should have fucking did something else. People are gonna probably go after the writer, like, oh my gosh, your movie was so whack, it was bunk. I can't believe you let this go through. But at the end of the day, you can try to defend yourself now a little bit easier than you could back in the day. You know, like nobody was doing press releases to be like, oh, like it wasn't my vision, da 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 da. You know, maybe there might have been an article somewhere because somebody went to go find them and talk to them about something. But now you got social media, you got different tools to be like, that's not what I wanted. I try to tell them to do this or that. You know, and then we see that, you know, in the original version or whatever, they wanted to go with this, blah, 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 this storyline or do this and that. So we see that people have tried to make an effort, but it's just not being allowed, or for whatever reason, it gets scrapped or whatever, you know, from the movie. So that stuff does happen. But overall, it's kind of like it's like when a private tells a fucking sergeant something, but the sergeant and everybody else in the military have been doing it for the same way for years. But this private, some new kid, you know, he's got a fucking brain on his head because he's just barely getting into the army and he's not a fucking drone yet. He says something that like it could totally ratify the fucking whatever you're doing, fucking Connex management, fucking working on the fucking Humvees, whatever the fuck it is, you know, some kind of training or whatever, right? But nobody's gonna listen to him because he's not at that level and he doesn't have the experience or whatever. So we're not gonna listen to him. We're just gonna be like, fuck it, you know, just we're gonna keep doing what we've been doing, and then fucking it takes forever. It's not working the right way or whatever, you know? Now he's at that level where he can make a difference, and he makes a difference finally because he's like, if y'all would listen to me at the beginning, we would have been doing this shit differently 2 years ago, however many years ago, whatever, right? But all you can really do is just keep doing your job until you get to that point where you can make a change, you can make a difference, you can influence somebody and tell them, hey, look, if we do this, this, and this, I guarantee you this is going to work, you know? But until that point, all you can do is listen, you know? Listen and follow orders. And if the big wigs are like, no, we're not fucking with that, you need to change it and make it this way or whatever, fine, I'll do it then, you know, until you find somebody who's that's willing to be like, all right, cool, I'll do it, you know. They're going to make the Dark Phoenix story again for sure. The X-Men is going to get introduced. And I mean, hell, they don't even have to do it the same way. If they want to go with the whole X-Men versus Avengers thing, so you not only introduced the Phoenix, but now you're just going to separate it into a bunch of different people, make it a whole different story, and we're not even going to have to worry about this whole shit with the Jean Grey thing. Okay, bet, you know, and we're going to see a bunch of superheroes fighting superheroes. Dope. Who doesn't want to see that, you know? Like, there's definitely other ways to go about it, but it just depends on who's going to want to listen, who's going to want to do it, what studio's going to do it. Marvel's going to have, I don't think they're going to just do necessarily a regular Dark Phoenix story. I think it'll be much better than, definitely be better than anything that has been released. But I think that they're going to go towards the X-Men versus Avengers route. We've seen that story twice now. Why see it a third time? You know,
because it fits.
Kind of like the Green Goblin Spider-Man thing. We don't need to see Uncle Ben get killed a bunch of times. We don't need to see Green Goblin for a third time. Let's just he's Spider-Man already. He's already got his powers. Uncle Ben's gone. Everybody knows it. Just continue forward.
It fits in the formula.
And it makes money.
It doesn't matter. It fits. It makes the money. It's what people want to see. It doesn't matter what comic fans want to see. Do you know why? Because they're going to complain no matter what. People who casually watch movies, the people who just wants to see a good show, they'll pay attention to it. And that's just how it is. It doesn't matter what casual, like just comic fans. That's why you see all these movies and people are like, that's not how it's supposed to go. Because it doesn't matter. Because the casual fans are the ones that's actually going to pay attention. They're going to be like, that was a great movie. And then you and your little nerd talk on whatever you're watching, people are going to be like, stop complaining. It's not meant for the deep fan. It's meant for the casual consumer.
It's definitely true. It's definitely true, but things get panned though. You can't just throw out garbage and expect, you know, to get gold from it. You know, it's got to be presentable for sure.
Yeah, and casual consumers like the formula.
It's true, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna still go watch it, even if it is a dumpster fire. I'm gonna go watch it and attempt to enjoy it. The X-Men franchise isn't the greatest, of course, but you know, we'll give this a chance to see how it goes. With that being said, as always, guys, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Like, subscribe, and follow. SoundCloud. Give us a heart. You know, give us a repost and all that stuff. On Twitter, we are CBT Uncultured. Once again, that's CBT Uncultured on Twitter. Everything else, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, is Culture by the Uncultured. Follow us on all our social medias. Give us a shout out if you feel like it. Leave us feedback too, guys. We really need feedback. I really want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions on us. If you guys want more content on other things, we already have ideas for content, of course. We're gonna have a little bit of a request, for the story of how I entered the Army and what I thought about it and all that stuff, So we definitely got things planned for the future. But please give us feedback. Let us know what you like about it. Let us know what you dislike about it. Don't want a bunch of yes men. We want to make the show bigger and better for everybody. So give us some feedback, and we'll get back to you guys. This is us signing off.